Hello, and welcome to my channel where we may be dazed, but we are not confused. We are going to do a What's on Your Plate reading for the sign of Virgo. So the purpose of this reading is to take a look at something that you might have on your plate that might be too much for you, or it could be something that you have a little bit too much of and you don't want to deal with it. So I was inspired by experiences as a child of having my eyes be bigger than my belly, which was an expression that meant that you wanted more than what you were able to finish or digest or complete. And I would have to sit at the table until I finished it, which was not a pleasant situation. You know, sometimes I would not want to get anything and I just wanted very little because I just didn't feel like having a lot. But sometimes you might have social expectations or societal pressures that make you feel as if you need to take on things that you cannot handle. So we're going to take a look at the number of dishes that you are going to put on your plate, and we're also going to look at what those dishes are. And these dishes are going to correspond with the oracle deck that I have arranged to match it. I'm also going to crack open the tarot to get to the root of the situation, and then we're going to get your advice, okay? So let's take a look at the number of dishes that you have on your plate, Virgo. Oh, we have 8 dishes. So that's on the upper end. So that means that there's a lot going on, a lot that you're trying to take on, or it could be that you're very hungry, like you're wanting to deal with a lot. So we'll get some clarity about which that is. We have corn on the cob for your dish. We have sweet potato pie. We have cranberry sauce. We have a wild card, so I can pick whichever one I want. I have a field roast with gravy. Note that there are vegetarian options here. Okay, salad. 4, 5, 6. You need 2 more. We have collard greens. And you have stuffing with gravy. Okay. Alright, so when I cracked open the deck here, the tarot deck, what I'm looking at is, I feel like you're in the energy of taking your time to make a decision about an action you want to take, okay, out in the world. Like you're moving and trying to grasp an opportunity and make something happen, but you're not trying to just rush out and do it. I feel like you've taken a lot of time and you've invested a lot of thought, and maybe you've also invested actually some money into this as well. All right, because I feel like you understand the gravity of what you're doing. You know, sometimes, you know, when people are looking out into the horizon and trying to evaluate what their opportunities are and what they should try to pour into and what they should try to do, it's done with an energy of not really taking stock of everything that's involved in having the highest rate of success. And I feel like what you've done is really taken your time in assessing the landscape and what you want to do. All right, I feel like you kind of are giving yourself a bird's eye view, but you're also very rooted and grounded in the action that you're trying to take. So the first card that we're going to pull is from the Sacred Traveler deck, and we have Vast Vistas. Okay, right on what we were saying, expanding your horizons. You want to expand your horizons. You know, I feel like you have this sense of where maybe you felt like you were trapped in a box. You're tired of kind of doing the status quo, but you're not so wanton about it that you're just gonna run off and do something without really kind of making a plan and trying to figure out what the steps are to get to a specific place. Like, I feel like you're looking out on the horizon and you see the opportunities, but you also see that, you know, there's an ocean ahead of you. And you're not thinking like, oh, I just want to be out on the ocean and just go off into anything. I feel like you see that there's like a boat that's about to take a journey. So you're planning out your steps to get on the path, to make it to the boat, and then get on the boat that has a destination. It's going in a direction. And you're like planning out the steps. in order to make it a safer bet for yourself, is what I'm seeing here, okay? The next dish you have is collard greens. And so that's going to be the mermaid cards. We have alchemy. So it says you have the Midas touch right now, and every project you begin turns to gold. So you may have had some, I'm feeling like negative, maybe circumstances, or maybe some less than favorable situations that you were coming out of, but you're trying to switch it around and make it into something that's positive. In the planning of this, you might have also been looking at what some of the setbacks were, or what some of your obstacles were. And what you did was you took the time to kind of switch those around so that they would work in your favor and work for you and not against you, so that you have a higher chance of success. I feel like you really took your time with this and you allowed the process to kind of work itself out. And that's why you are feeling confident in this project or this venture, or it could be literal travel or whatever it is that you're doing that you're moving into. Okay. Next we have cranberry sauce, and that's going to be a Madame Endora's card. And we have the hourglass. It says time is of the essence. So I feel like this goes both ways. I feel like you took your time, and I also feel like you have a sense that you have somewhere that you need to go and you're trying to get there in the most timely manner, but you're not willing to rush and come across unnecessary obstacles and setbacks that could have been avoided by taking the time to plan out appropriately. So I feel like you're trying to be efficient with your time. I'm picking up divine timing. So I feel like you're trying to just get all of this stuff in alignment in order to give yourself the highest possible chance of success. So next we have stuffing with gravy, and that's going to be a feather message. We have the heron. It says, let go of convention and follow your own unique path. So, we said that you were in this box. You recognized that you were tired of the status quo. You wanted to do something different because you were tired of what you're doing. But you also recognized that there were some obstacles and possible, traps along the way. And so you're making a plan in order to get there. So I feel like whatever it is that you're doing, it's very unique. It's very different. I feel as if you have to take the unbeaten path. You have to go in a direction that, maybe others don't really go, and you don't have a lot of mentorship or examples for it. And because you're doing that, because you're moving in that kind of direction, you recognize the importance of needing to have some sort of plan to help you get there. Even if you have to take these different routes of or modes of transportation along this route, you are being careful to be thoughtful and mindful about it as you take this unique approach to getting to a certain destination, okay? Next, we have sweet potato pie, and that's going to be a Sacred Rebels oracle. And we have After the Storm, yeah. So like I said, there may have been some situations that you're coming out of that were less than pleasant, and this is you trying to maybe use a little alchemy, inner alchemy, and maybe alchemy in your environment to switch negative situations or circumstances into positive, so that you can have a new beginning or make your life look the way that you want it to a little bit more. And you're doing this by kind of shirking the conventional way of doing things. All right. I'm also picking up, I was watching Toy Story the other day, and Buzz Lightyear, on the very first movie, if you've seen it, one of the big things he had was he recognized that he wasn't a space ranger. And his big thing was he could fly, he had the laser, and that was a thing, he couldn't fly. But then when he finally did fly, he recognized, by that point, he'd come to the realization that he wasn't necessarily flying. He was doing the action of flying, but not necessarily on his own. He was falling, but he was using like the laws of physics, and he figured out how to use the different objects and things around him to give him that sensation of flying, or to be in a state of flying, but he was actually falling. And he said, I'm not flying, I'm falling in style. And I feel like that's what you're doing. You are falling in style. Whatever it is that you're doing, you're being very mindful about it. It could be like you could have had a tower moment and things were kind of like collapsing for you, but you're not allowing it to just be like utter chaos and destruction. Like it's like a controlled collapse, and you're being mindful about, okay, I need to do this. I need to take this step. I need to go into this direction, and it will allow me to get, kind of hopscotch over into this other space. All right. That's what I'm kind of looking at. And that's what you're looking at. You're looking at all the obstacles and things that would come up. Okay, when this happens, I can do this, and I can make the best of it by doing this. And when this happens, I can do this thing and make the best of it and do this thing. All right. To get you to a more desirable situation, because I feel like maybe with this tower, it's kind of put you in a position where you're going to have to look out into the world and do this new thing anyway, but you're trying to do it in a way that's constructive as opposed to destructive. All right. So the next card that I have for you here is the corn on the cob. And so that's going to be the mystical shaman oracle. And we have the upper world. Okay. So let's take a look and see what the message is for that, because I'm not as comfortable with that one. I have this particular card. All right, it says, the upper world is calling you to step into your fully realized self. Clear distractions so that you can move into a higher destiny. Do not fall to the temptation to craft a slightly more improved version of yourself. What you perceive as a problem or an obstacle is in fact the irritation you need to take the great leap. Remember that you cannot cross the Grand Canyon in 2 small jumps, okay? Yes. All right. See, this is to me exactly what you're doing. And this kind of ties in with what we said. So you've had obstacles and things that were presented to you. And you recognize that you're going to have to make a complete start over. You're going to have to do something totally different. And you recognize what those obstacles are. You recognize this stuff, and you know that you have to get into a spot, but you can't just walk there or take one mode. You have to kind of hopscotch or figure out ways to get across these vast distances here. And with this saying, you cannot cross the Grand Canyon in 2 small jumps. To me, this is you looking at the horizon, figuring out, okay, if I walk this path, I can get this far, and then I need to go from there. I need to get over to here. Then I need to do that. And this is inspiring you to do something different that you may not have done before. You need to come out of the status quo, but your personality might be one where you really need to have a sense of some level of control. You might be a type A personality, but you're forced into a situation where that's not conducive to what you're doing. So you're breaking it up into like manageable chunks so that you can handle what you need to do in order to get through the situation. Okay. So the next card we have is Field Roast with Gravy. And so we're going to use the Mystic Wisdom. We have choices. Make the best choices. So yeah, I feel like when presented with a number of choices, you're trying to pick the one that is going to be the most beneficial to you. I feel like you're trying to rely upon your intuition, but also tempering that with, what's going on in your situation. Like if you have some crisis that you're coming out of, or some collapse or something that's going on, you're also saying, okay, let me be realistic about what I need to do in the situation. And you might be tapping into almost like a more like primal part of yourself that's allowing you to feel more comfortable with being in this kind of uncharted territory. It might even be making you feel like you're kind of alive, like you're having to actually rely on your senses and actually plan out and plot. It's like not so much just survivalism, but it's bringing you alive, because it's whatever your constrictions were, this box, this status quo, this thing that you were being almost kind of held down by, even though it was like a false sense of security. It made you feel like, here's your box, this is what you do, you know, now that that box has kind of either been busted open or fallen open or whatever happened, you're in a space where you're having to kind of live outside of that and kind of make your own way. But you're trying to do it in a way that it feels right for you, okay? Utilizing as much planning as you can, given the circumstances. So the last card that we have here is the Joker card. And I want to do, because that's our wild card, let's do an Angels of Abundance for you. And I have take a divinely guided chance. Okay, so it says, all positive change and successful ventures involve a degree of risk, and you are ready to follow your divine guidance to new territories. As you leave behind that which is comfortable and familiar, but no longer appropriate for you, you make room for new and more meaningful opportunities, okay? So I feel like that really sums up exactly what it is that you're doing and how you're moving into this new space in your life, all right? So that is what I have for you, Virgo. Thank you for joining me on this channel where we may be days, but we are not confused. And until the next video, bye-bye.